Hi, I'm Liz Fayenza and I want to welcome you to the Energy Bucket Handbook and how you're going to discover the 7 keys to energetic health, vitality and improved performance. Now this workbook has been put together based on my research that resulted in the Energy Bucket book. By now hopefully you will have read that book and be ready to begin with the actual work of changing your behaviour and your performance so that you have greater productivity and more enjoyment out of life and balance. Now, how we're going to do that is by working through several modules, and each of the modules will have a component on DVD that you can look at and listen to. Now, it's important that when I prompt you to stop and go back to the workbook and complete exercises, that you do that. Otherwise, simply going on and listening or watching more of the DVD won't embed the information for you. So you need to do both. You need to be watching and listening and then doing, and then coming back and watching and listening some more. In that way, we can stimulate all your senses and have the best possible chance of creating real behaviour change, which is what we're all about. That's why you've bought this program. Now, how we're going to do that is, first of all, we're going to be looking at mindsets. And by looking at mindsets, we'll be able to alter behaviour. So we'll be able to manage the things that you put into your body, that is your energy inputs. We'll be able to manage the things that you do with your body, that is your energy outputs. Things like exercise and work and doing stuff with the family. We'll also then be able to look at your attitude and see if there are key areas where your attitude might need to shift a little bit to improve how you feel in the world. Now, we're going to do that by really understanding your personality, how that interacts with your behaviour and your mindset to produce results. And then if there are results you don't like, you'll have the mechanism to actually be able to change the behaviour. And all of that adds up to being the most productive person that you can be, in whatever way that is for you. So for some people, being productive is being extremely balanced and harmonious, having a calm life where they can get everything they need to do done, but there's no stress and strain. For others, being productive is reaching for big goals and getting those achieved to a set agenda. And yet for others, productivity is about sporting excellence or prowess academically. So when I say productivity and performance, I don't want you to think of my definition. I want you to think of what it means to you, because that's what we're after. At the end of the day, you want to have the best life that you can have according to your definitions, your beliefs and your values, not what someone else thinks you should do. So let's begin. To do this program, you're going to have to actually start to believe that it can be possible. Even if you don't know how it's possible or why it's possible, we're going to fill in those blanks for you. So the first step is to really be open to the possibility that things that you don't like in your life can change, and that things that maybe you would like to improve or do better can get better. Now, in the process of doing that, you're going to come up against some friction. And that friction might come from yourself, or it might come from people around you because you are undergoing change. That's all okay. It's all normal. And in fact, if you're aware that it's going to happen and you don't get emotionally hooked up on it, then you can kind of have a chuckle to yourself. Oh, that's that friction thing that Liz was talking about. And you don't have to buy into it emotionally and give it too much energy. Now, the other part of the plan is that you're really going to have to start to believe that you can do it. And remember I said, yeah, believe it's possible. Now believe it's possible for you, that things in your life can actually get better and that they can change in a way you want them to. Trust in the tools that we've put together in this package, and trust in the system. And most of all, have that wish, that hope, that desire that you can be all that you've hoped you could be in your life, that untapped potential within you can start to come to the fore. And the way that's going to happen is by changing things step by step. We're not going to try to make changes overnight. We're not going to try to transform you from one kind of person to another kind of person, because who wants that? That would be incredibly disruptive to your life. But what we can do is show you how day by day you can make little changes, and how those little changes can add up over time to not just big changes, but permanent change for the better. Now, that leads me to the whole idea of mindsets, which is the first of the 7 keys. And for me, it's one of the most important, because if we don't understand mindset, then we're kind of just dabbling around at the edges and we'll get temporary changes, but we won't really get permanent improvements. Mindset is all about the frameworks that you bring to the world and how you store and sort information and your experiences from your senses via your brain. those experiences get laid down in your brain as mind maps. Now, a lot of us have done mind maps before. You know, you get a whiteboard and you start drawing things and circles, and some of you will absolutely love mind mapping, and some of you it will drive crazy. I'm not talking about those mind maps. I'm talking about real neurological maps within your brain. These maps are actually maps of the way that your neurons, that is brain cells, fire. So for every kind of experience that you have and every kind of sensory input that comes in, your brain creates a neurological map. Now some of these maps are really short-lived. They might happen once and never again, in which case they're kind of ephemeral. They dissolve really, really quickly. Then there are permanent mind maps. Permanent mind maps are what we're after. It's not that they can't be changed, it's just that they're kind of locked in because we've just done them so many times. You know, we've eaten that bowl of ice cream 3 million times, so we've got a mind map for that. Or we've written a letter to a friend and we've got a mind map for that. So literally anything that you can think of that you do or anything that you experience in the world has created a map of neurological firing in your brain. Now, those all are associated with kind of friend maps. So for instance, if you like to have a cigarette while having a cup of coffee, then the neurological mind map for having a cup of coffee is really close in your brain to the neurological mind map for having a cigarette. And that's why when someone gives up smoking, if they go out and have a cup of coffee in the same spot that they would normally have a cup of coffee and have a cigarette, they will automatically reach for the cigarette. It's not conscious, it's not that they want to break their promise to themselves. It's that the mind map of drinking a coffee out on the deck is associated with the mind map of having a cigarette. And the two are really hard to separate. So we're going to actually look a lot at how these associated mind maps either work together to help you or work together to undermine you. Now what I want you to do right now is go to the section in your workbook on mindsets before I get too far into the descriptions of exactly how they work. And I want you to just really with a kind of an intuitive burst answer the questions. There's questions about your current mindsets and what you think about the world and what your habits are. So I want you to go away right now, complete all of that, and then come back to this DVD. So go on, turn the DVD off right now.